Running commentary. We are exploring listening to albums. It is a lost art form. We took an hour out of our day. We switched off the phones. We switched off the computers. We did not answer the door. We sat down and we listened to the artist's vision and concept. Depeche Mode, Violator. Jonathan Preston asked for us to review this album. Jonathan Preston is one of the key members on Pop Scene. It was with trepidation that I approached the review of the Mighty Mode's Violator album. I asked my fanatic Depeche Mode fan, cousin Michael, to join us and add his wealth of experience to the review, which he politely declined. He said, Marshall, I don't have the panache or finesse to present the way that you do. I don't know if he was embarrassed to be on the screen at the same time, but again, Michael is a huge Depeche Mode fan. He goes to lots of gigs. He goes to Denmark. He goes to other countries to see the band. I know that he's met the band a bunch of times. So once again, Jonathan Preston, Michael Rosa, our two references for this album. So Violator is the 7th studio album by Depeche Mode, and it was released by Mute Records in the UK, at least, on the 19th of March, 1990. The recording of the album took place between May 1989 and January of 1990. It was recorded in a host of facilities: Axis in New York, the Church Master Rock Studios in London, Logic Studios in Milan, and Puck Recording Studios in Denmark. So a real sort of pan-European, sort of European Atlantic affair here. The album's production is credited to Depeche Mode and Flood, and all tracks on the album are written by Martin L. Gore. This was the album that changed things for Depeche Mode. In terms of commercial success, the album reached number 7 on the American album charts. It was the first album by the band to sell 1 million copies in the US. It made the top 10 in Switzerland, Sweden, Italy, Germany, number 1 in France, number 2 in the UK. Are you getting the picture? This was a big album. Anton Corbijn had been drafted in to help with the visuals, including the sleeve and the pretty much legendary video clip for Enjoy the Silence. The lineup remains as Dave Gahan, Martin L. Gore, Andy Fletcher, and Alan Wilder. Why on earth was this album called Violator? And Martin Gore explains that they wanted a ridiculously over-the-top rock moniker to reflect this new body of work, and he goes on to say that he didn't think that anyone would get the joke. 4 UK singles were taken from this album: Personal Jesus, Enjoy the Silence, Policy of Truth, and World in My Eyes. Let's start with Enjoy the Silence. It's arguably Depeche Mode's most famous song. Martin had written this as a ballad initially, and it was Alan who had prompted the band to up the tempo on this piece. I think all of us knew where we were when we heard this song. I was in Birmingham. I'd run away from home, and so this song has a personal poignancy with me. I'd left home at 18 because my family were pissing me off, and I moved into a place called Erdington in Birmingham. And in order to get to the city centre from Erdington, you would have to go under a very famous motorway section in Birmingham called Spaghetti Junction, which is where all the motorways met up. And there was these underpasses with these broken, we call them subways in London, but it's not a train, it's like an underground passage, and it's got graffiti, and everyone pisses in there and does drugs and whatever else. So I remember that this song was a hit in 1990 when I first went out on my own, as it were, and left the family home. So Enjoy the Silence for me has really got my heart in that way, is in that it was a reminder of leaving home as a young man, really. So it's always going to resonate with me on a very, very personal level. The lyrics are so good, aren't they? I mean, I think that, all I ever wanted, all I ever needed is here in my arms. This was very unfamiliar territory for Depeche Mode. You never think of them as the band who sort of cuddle up with someone on the sofa. Words are very necessary. Words are very unnecessary. They can only do harm. So true in too many cases, and I'm sure this album review is probably one of them. The world agreed the song was a top 10 hit in 13 countries. It reached number 1 in Spain and Denmark. It was given the Song of the Year at the 1991 Brit Awards. I personally feel that Depeche Mode with this song reached a plateau of excellence. Policy of Truth is a great song. Never Again was what you swore the time before. Good lyric. Those trademark DM harmonies, number 1 in Poland, top 10 in Italy, Spain and Germany. Somehow or another, this wasn't in my collection. I bought it immediately. The KLF did a remix for the band, which they very rarely did. We should also state here that Depeche Mode were doing gangbusters in the modern rock and dance club US charts. And a chart trivia fact, Policy of Truth is the only single to place higher on the US Hot 100 at number 15 than on the UK singles chart at number 16. First and last time that's ever happened. Personal Jesus, let's talk. This was a game changer for Depeche Mode because of the use of the guitar. I've got to be honest with you, when it was out as a single, I kind of ignored it. Depeche Mode weren't on my radar in 1989 because they'd stopped making those catchy hits that I loved. I was all about going clubbing, retail therapy, pissing my mother off and selling Big Macs in Eltham. Depeche Mode had grown up. I hadn't. And I was 17. Back in those days, Everything Counts was my song. It still is. So in reviewing Personal Jesus, now I'm properly listening to it for the first time. I like it. My favorite thing is the key change down. It's dun, dun, I like the way the key change goes down. I like the squall of the guitar. It's beaty. Top 10 in 7 countries. Big hit in Italy. One of the band's longest running chart songs in Germany. Close to 6 months in the German charts. I think the song was fresh and the band needed that. World in My Eyes, I really like the sleeve for this. Hands create the outline of a masked face and you can see part of what looks like the Manhattan Bridge against a dusking, cloudy sky. Top 10 hit in 6 countries, big hit in Spain. It reached number 17 in the UK. We Won't Need a Map, believe me. It has a strong direction. I definitely prefer the other 3 singles, but it's not a bad song. There's no way I could say that. Sweetest Perfection, when I need a drug in me, it brings out the thug in me. I like the string breakdown. The lyrics strike me as memorable. It's not my favorite in this collection, yet it's a solid Mode track. The drug reference I don't think can be ignored when you consider what goes on to dramatically shape Dave Gahan's 90s. This song feels like an entrance to that. Waiting for the Night to Come. It's interesting, isn't it, that the band have said for this album they spent far less time on pre-production. Yet this album has so much more polish and confidence. The baleful oboe of Everything Counts has a ghostly presence on this track, reminding you where Depeche Mode have come from. When I squinted, the world seemed rose-tinted. Reflective and pulsating. At the end, a sound that reminds you of Blasphemous Rumours. Dave Gahan harmonising with a Porky Pig style vocal on the fade. It's good stuff. Blue Dress. Put it on and don't say a word. Enjoy the silence. The lyrics have a cerebral dominance over this album. There's so much more space on here to appreciate the band's message, whereas before, there's something beating here inside my body and it's called a heart, you know what it is. But there's a lot more space here. They're taking lyrics out. They're like, okay, we've got time. We don't have to put 700 words into a line anymore. The untitled piece after Blue Dress is pertinent soundscaping and tech wizardry. Clean is the Pink Floyd-inspired closer. I'm starting to grasp what is in my own hands. There's a synth phrase that comes in on the second verse, which to me captures the hopelessness of drugs, sort of the blowing of consequences, a release of responsibility, in juxtaposition to lyrics which are claiming sobriety. The music seems to suggest that addiction is still rampant. I purchased this immediately. That's how Depeche Mode end this album. Another cliffhanger. Do you remember at the end of Some Great Reward, there's Blasphemous Rumors. At the end of Violator, there's Clean. And I've got to tell you, it really is that that synth hook is like really like it captures someone who we all know someone that's like is on the way to like destruction, just fucking their life up. And particularly in Middle America, I'm sure that this song was a really big hit, and I just absolutely love it. Now I've saved a track for the last because this track is now officially my third favorite Depeche Mode song of all time. Everything Counts is number one. It has to be. I love Everything Counts, and I love Leave in Silence. But at number 3 of my all-time favorite Depeche Mode songs is on this album, and I'd never heard it before reviewing this album. So thank you, Jonathan Preston. I really have to say thank you for referring this to me. I was singing it last night. I'd had a few cocktails and I was singing this on the platform. I don't think I've ever been so excited by a Depeche Mode song for so very long, or any other song. And it's classic Depeche Mode. It will be worth it. It is worth it. When the walls come tumbling down, you know, or when your life is caving in, it will be worth it. It's just such a great song. The dramatic strings at the back of the chorus, these strings are used on the outro, a sort of sense of impending doom. Very, very good stuff. Like, I can't believe this wasn't a single. Man, if this had been a single, I think it would have been a smash. This should have come after Enjoy the Silence. If they'd done Enjoy the Silence and then Halo as a single, I'm telling you, this thing could have gone to number 3. Halo, must have. Brilliant. The willingness to explore other styles on Violator is very much to Depeche Mode's credit. The more you listen, the more you like it. There's enough depth here to be able to immerse yourself in the group's confident evolution. So I've got written down here 82%, and that was when I'd sort of finished reviewing the album and listening 4 and 5 times, and like, this is growing on me, and I put here 82%, but no. Final mark, running commentary, Depeche Mode, Violator, 90%.